Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Ben Foggins Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw review video for today. For this new aka After I Saw review video for today, this is going to be my review on a brand new release film for 2022, which this movie just recently dropped by today around the globe. And I just got back from seeing this movie, and I'm here to give you guys my personal thoughts on what I just recently saw today. Which this is going to be my review on the 2022 superhero film, and this is part of the DC Extended Universe, and this is the 11th installment of this universe. And also this movie is a spin-off to one of DCEU's films, which was released in 2019, which is this film right behind me, Shazam. And as you guys can tell from the title of this video, what movie I'm reviewing today, of course, I'm here to talk to you guys about, of course, Black Adam. Now, this comes to us from the director of numerous films. Like, this director has made horror films such as House of Wax remake, Orphan, and The Shallows, and he's made a few Liam Neeson action thrillers, which consist Unknown, Run All Night, Non-Stop, and The Commuter. And his most recent film he made before this was a adventure film from Disney, which was based on a theme park attraction known as Jungle Cruise, which that film starred Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in which this film, of course, stars The Rock himself. And basically, the story of Black Adam is that nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed by the almighty Egyptian gods and imprisoned, basically we see Black Adam, who's played by Dwayne Johnson. He's now freed, and he's basically out there to use his powers for justice to the modern world today. So, yeah, that's pretty much the plot synopsis I can basically say for Black Adam. Now, I was never introduced to this character when I was growing up as a kid, and I had the exact same experience with four like other comic book characters I was never introduced to when I was growing up, when they got their own movies just in recent years, like say Shang-Chi or even Morbius. Even though, let's not go on about Morbius, because that movie's just a complete snore fest. But anyway, like I said, I was never introduced to this character before Black Adam, because for when I was growing up with like comic book stuff as a kid, I was just mostly introduced to like well-known iconic characters that we all know and love till this day, like say Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman, and all that. But once I heard when we were getting a movie about Black Adam, I was pretty intrigued to see how this movie's going to play out as. And once I heard the DCU was going to be involved with it, I was pretty intrigued. I was kind of intrigued what they were going to do for this, what they were going to do for all that. And for the director of this movie, like I said, he's made numerous films. Like say, he's made a few horror films, like the ones I mentioned, as well as like Liam Neeson action thrillers. And his last film he did was a adventure film for Disney, which was based on a theme park attraction called Jungle Cruise, which that starred Dwayne Johnson, which I enjoyed that. And speaking of Dwayne Johnson, like I said, he is also in the movie, and he is of course the main star of the film. I was pretty intrigued. I was really intrigued to see what he can do for this movie, since no matter what Dwayne Johnson's in, he's just always a pure joy to watch on screen. For when we get to see him kick everyone's ass in like any action movie he does. And as for other cast members in the film, there wasn't a whole lot of other people I was very familiar with, except you've got another A-list star in the film, which that is Pierce Brosnan, which I'm a fan of Pierce Brosnan. I think he's a talented actor, from James Bond, and he has done a few other things outside of James Bond, like he's done romance and other kind of movies out there. And once the trailers did drop by for this film, like I said, I was pretty intrigued to see how this movie's going to play out as. And like I said, this movie just recently dropped by today on the 21st of October. And for my screen, there was quite a lot of people on my screen, but not like massively sold out or anything, because it was still a quiet day. But there was still quite a lot of people on my screen though. And after walking out of this movie, personally, in my opinion, I thought this movie was just pretty much a mixed bag for myself here. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a bad movie or anything, because, like I said, this was just pretty much of a mixed bag for myself, because there are some things I did like in this movie that still managed to make myself have a pretty fun time in this one. Like, Dwayne Johnson, of course, he's great in the movie as Black Adam. He's fun to watch on the screen, and he's totally a badass in the movie once we get to see him, kick everyone's ass in the movie. And as for other actors in the film, like you got Pierce Brosnan in the movie, plays Dr. Fate. I thought he was pretty good in the movie, and I was never introduced to this character as well, because there are some other like superhero characters in the film. Like you've got Atom Smasher, who has this ability where he can transform like a giant and cause destruction and all that. You got this other character called Cyclone, where she has the ability of like wind and sound. I thought that was kind of cool character. And you also have this character named Hawkman, which is almost like a Falcon, which I thought that was a cool character too. And for Dr. Fate, he's almost a bit like Doctor Strange, even though the character wears a helmet and all the helmet is called Hamlet of Fate, and he has this ability of like sorcery and all that. I thought that was a cool character, and like I said, I was never introduced to these characters, but seeing them on the big screen, I thought they were kind of cool. And you also have some like human characters in the film. Like you've got the mother in the film, and she has a son, and also has a brother in the film. I thought they were solid in the film, and there are a few characters in the film that do provide and for some of these other characters, they're just there to pretty much provide comic relief, mostly just the brother in the film. Which there are times where some of his jokes land, but some of them just don't land whatsoever. And there are times where there are some of the characters I just didn't find that memorable enough whatsoever. And speaking of human characters, there's one human character that he was in a few scenes and that I liked, which is the kid in this film. When we get to see him interact with Black Adam, which there are a few scenes like that in the film, which I thought were pretty cool, which I thought they were good. Like when we get to see him, like where he gets to show Black Adam what it's like to be a superhero, like say some catchphrases and all that. Which from seeing that and all that in this movie, it just immediately reminded me of Terminator 2, even in a way, even though Terminator 2 is not a superhero film or anything like that. And but for seeing scenes like that, I thought it was pretty good. And the story in the film, like the whole story writing this film, I kind of found lacking really. Even though like obviously there are some scenes where it shows his origins and all that, and how he became this character and who he is as now, like how he sacrificed, like how he lost his family and all that, and you know he tried to sacrifice and all that, but he failed and all that because you know he lost his family and all that, and with all the gods and stuff like that, it just immediately reminded me of like Thor mixed with Shazam in a way, because it's kind of both like that in this way, because it's kind of both like that in this movie. And the action sequences in this movie, there are some action in this film that can be entertaining to watch, although there are times where it does use some effects in this film, which the effects in the film I say weren't too bad, but there are some noticeable effects in this film, like CGI, green screen and all that, like explosions and all that kind of stuff, and slow-mo shots, which I kind of had to get used to while I was watching this film. And I would definitely wouldn't say the action is definitely bad or anything, because again there are times where it's entertaining, but obviously you just have to get used to them. Like with with the things that don't work out well in this film, like some effects that don't work out, like CGI or even green screen or anything like that. When we get to see like say Black Adam in the sky and he's like beating up some bad guys and like causing destruction and all that, and some other characters in that like that in the film. And also, despite the film being 2 hours and 4 minutes, it never felt that kind of long to me, because it kind of played out so fast. Even though the first 15 minutes in the film I kind of found weak, and for its conclusion, I kind of found it a bit rushed and a bit anticlimactic, which that's another issue I had, along with its story and some effects and some characters in the film. But in the end, guys, Black Adam, like I said, this was just pretty much of a mixed bag for myself. And again, I definitely wouldn't say this is a bad superhero film or anything like that. It's definitely not terrible since Morbius or anything like that, which I still think is the worst comic book film of this year. But if you're a fan of if you're very familiar with this character, and if you're a fan of The Rock, or you're a fan of other actors, or if you're a fan if you're a diehard fan of DC, you may have this one. I could probably say this will be a good popcorn treat for yourselves. But for me personally, like I said, this was just a mixed bag for myself. And if I would have to watch this again, I would just only have to watch it just once, not over and over again though. So that's pretty much all to say about Black Adam. I'm gonna give Black Adam 3 out of 5. Again, as I said before, this is definitely not a bad comic book film or anything. And I can definitely say it's definitely not the worst in the DC Extended Universe whatsoever. Because again, this one, like I said, this one was just a fine mixed bag for myself, because there were some things I did like in this movie that still managed to make myself have a pretty fun time with this one, while there definitely are a few issues with this one. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After Hours Saw review on Black Adam, and let me know what you think of this brand new release if you just recently checked out this film. Did you have a blast with this, or were you very disappointed with this? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.